Alright, this time the Quick Speed Shop, we're talking Dodge Charger Daytona clone, and you're going to want to stay tuned to the end of the video, because I'm going to tell you all about stuff I'm going to do. But in the meantime, we got to go in the shop and work on the Chevy C10. But don't forget, at the end, we're going to come back in here and talk about this Dodge Charger Daytona project. So it's going to be worth it, I guarantee it. Hey guys, I'm back at it here in the Quick Speed Shop, working on the C10 once again, putting the passenger side door skin on. And I've got it all kill matted up here. Got my brand new AMD door skin. And I'm just doing some fitment issues on the door, trying to get the door to fit a little bit better, the skin to fit a little bit better. I've got my kill mat in here on the inner structure like I did on the driver's door. And I've been working along, just fitting things. I had to grind this edge down a little bit because I knocked it in a little bit because the top of the door was out quite a bit compared to my cab panel. So I knocked it in, and then when I did that, it moved the edge, so I've ground it to fit how I want my gap to fit, pretty much. I added a little bit of material here because the cab corner sticks out quite a bit here at the body line, so I added a little bit of material with the welder to push the skin out so it wouldn't suck back in there. I'm almost ready to attach it. There's going to be two plug welds here at this little tab. I put a little weld-through primer on that. I'm going to weld it across here and across here to hold the top, and then we're going to use panel bond adhesive on the edges with the, when I crimp the edge over on the inside. And I did a full 1 hour video, like step by step on the driver's side. So if you want to see like a whole intact step by step one, you can go watch that. I'm just kind of doing this right now because I need the content and it's got to get done. So we might as well film it here. So it's about ready to go to get on here. I've been fitting it all day, and we're pretty close to making it work. You know what? I also should put the front fender on. I got to do that so we can line up the body line, make sure we're not too out of whack there. So let me grab that real fast. Throw this guy up on here. Think about like that. There we go. I think that's about where she goes. I'm gonna get the skin over here. We'll take a look again. Okay. I kind of bent the very edge of the bottom of the door skin over a little bit with a hammer and dolly, so it kind of like hangs on the lower edge a little bit. That fender's got to go ahead a little bit, but our body line. Fender's got to go ahead and up just a hair, but the body line is going to be good in the front. When I get it adjusted, I got to pick the rear up just a little bit. Here. Pretty good. So I think it's close. Fortunately, I put these rockers on when I just had the door patches on a few videos ago, and then these skins are a little bit different fitment wise, how they fit, so that's making it a little bit of an issue. And I'm not on my door all the way. Get on there all the way, there we go. Okay, open the door. Oh, I think I gotta take I've determined that the fender line is gonna be good. There, it's just a little tight. I'm gonna take the fender off so I got more maneuverability to work with this thing. Now that I just tightened it all up, open the door here so I can make sure I'm all the way on the bottom edge of the door contained. Okay. I have a really good way to like clamp this or do nothing. It's fighting me. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to fight with this for a little bit and we'll get it up on here. So I cheated a little bit. I pushed it where I wanted it, and I tacked it down in the corner down here, which should be fine, and I tacked the front edge to get the bottom line in. The body line is as close as I can get it without raising it too much. It's like really close, and I tacked it on the skin, so the quarter here is going to stick out just a tiny little bit past the door here, but the bottom is going to smush in, and the side of the door is good pretty much all through here. It's just how the back of this cab is. I could slice and dice this, but I don't really want to get into cutting the whole back of the cab apart and stuff. It's close enough, man, right? So my gap is a little tight here, but I think it'll mush over a little bit when we do the door skin tool, the skinning tool. I got it tacked up here, and I got my screw in here. I got to run down, those get welded, and I got it tacked here. I was going to put the fender on one more time just to double check, but the reason I lifted up and tacked on the bottom is I was able to get my bottom gap here. The center of the door is bowed out a little bit because it's just free balling, but the gap on the bottom will be good. Oh, Ted's here.
I'm here.
Oh boy.
I'm here.
So everything is looking okay here. I might try to get out of here with that wine. We're not doing wine. Get out of here with that wine.
Got a bottle of water for me.
Nope. So I think I'm in the right mode here for getting this guy on. I think it's going to be okay. Kind of is what it is. It's locked in now with these tack welds, so I can't really move getting the skinning tool put on it. I got my tight show car gap. It's a little tighter than I want it, but I don't really want to slide the fender head anymore because it was tight on the fender, but we're going to see if that's still true. We'll put the fender back on it right now. Let's see what we got. Don't be tracking all that snow in here. That's it. You're banished. Where's my fender? Man, it's hot in here. I'm filming right now. Oh, I got the heat set up past normal. No wonder it's so hot in here. I'm dying. Look out, I need this fender. I need this fender. Pretty much, yeah. Primer. It's ready for primer. Let's throw this guy back on and take one more look. See? Just get it up on here. I might just be able to hold. Why does that look so? What in the world's going on here? Something. I don't like any of this. Hold on a minute. Good thing we're doing this because all of a sudden I don't like any of it. What in the world? Oh, you know what? It's probably. No, it's because it's not hemmed on there. When it hems on, it'll go. I just want to get a look-see. Put that where it's got to be. Why won't that? Tires. So that'll.
That lines up, don't it?
Now I'll have to suck in when I beat the edge down. This fender's got to go up just a tiny little bit, but the front of the skin is bowed out away from the structure of the door because it fit nice before now, and I got it tacked. I got it tacked up here. I might have to cut this tack and retack it because this needs to suck in here. How do I cut that little tack? I need my little grinder. It takes hours and hours and hours. Like, this doesn't make good content because everybody's already seen this once again, and it takes hours and hours and hours to do this stuff. You can't just build a car in an episode. Unlike the professionals. I'll just pop this free. Pop it free. It's not the right hammer, but oh, there we go. Now let's see if this will suck in. Kind of. Hoop. Yeah. Hoop. Yeah, that'll.
Did it get better?
Yeah, it's got to get sucked. It's got to suck in this edge has got to go in. Oops. it's away from the inner skin. It's got to go to where it's got to go.
You almost got to knee it and then tack it.
Well, I don't want to dent the door skin. It was fitting on there nice before we started tacking and monkeying around. It'll kind of go where it's got to go. I got to re-tack that. Yeah, it lines up pretty good. It'll suck in there. It'll suck this in. I'll suck it in when I. Yeah, it fits good here. The body line's good. It's got to crimp in. The center's got to go in. It's just kind of free floating. This back here is what I was worried about because it was out a whole bunch up here, and I was able to fix it up. The door gap's a little tight back here. I don't really like how tight it is.
Not rubbing, no, is it?
It could go ahead.
Where's your dime? Go put your dime in there.
I was using a paint stick, but it's tight in the middle. It's like a paint stick up here. It's a paint stick on the bottom. It's tight in the middle. I'll have to work on that.
Not too bad.
It's just going to be a little tight. Here we are. It's the next day, or actually next night. Ted's gone away. We went to a swap meet today. Had to get up first thing in the morning. Didn't buy anything. So we're back at it here. Whoops. And you saw in the time lapse, I got the door mounted up on and welded and all that. So let's take a look. There's more light on the situation. It's going to be okay. It fits pretty good. Pretty good for how better than it was. It fits good down through here, adding a little bit of material. This still juts out just a tiny little bit here, but it's not bad if you can sight down. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but sight down there, that sticks out like a 1/16 of an inch, but it is what it is. Through here in the center of the door, it's all good. And then up here, I was able to get this sucked back in a lot better. It sticks out here a little bit where the door handle is, but once the handle's on there, you're not going to have any line of sight really there. So it is what it is. It fits as best I could. I got to do a little bit of body work on the seam, just like the other door. It's got a tiny little high spot right here where something must have got stuck between the two panels and I hemmed them together. And I can just tap on that and sand the metal down a little bit. I can just barely see it. I don't know if you can see it in the reflection. Right there. I'll get rid of that. I got a couple little tiny little dings in the edge of the skin from hammer and dolly work here. Then down here, same thing. Something got stuck under the skin. I actually had to use the little flap disc sander to tap and then sand that down. Do a little bit of body work there. Got a little bit of a wrinkle here by the skin folding over. And then a tiny little spot down here in the bottom. A lot less dings on the bottom than the other door because I didn't use the clamps to clamp it with the glue like it did. But it fits nice. I welded up the tops here. Got to grind these down and use filler on them. I've got to adjust the fender just a hair. I've got it shimmed out on the bottom just with the paint stick, and it's out too far here, but the body lines will line up. I had a problem with it rubbing the door panel here, but I've been working on it here, so it seems to be good. My back gap is just a tiny little bit tight, and the gap is a little wide here. So I think if I machine the fender holes just a touch, I can bump the fender around just a hair and slide the door ahead just like a 1/16 to open this gap up just a tiny little bit and make it better. But it is all bonded together with our seams here, mushed on there, all good. And then in here, the front, all the seams are good. The glue's all set up. I put the glue all the way around so the panel bond is on there. We got our kill mat on the inside. So this guy, boom, is ready for action. So now I can go and take that door back off again and do the same thing as the driver's side. Get it all sanded down, get all the high spots knocked down, try to push up any little dents, get it all kind of in the best shot for prime and then body filler. Sand it all down. I'm going to strip all the brown paint off it with the SCT tool, the Eastwood tool over here with the big stripping disc. Strip all that down, that guy there. Boom. It'll end up looking just like this, where I use the SCT and the D8 to sand off all the layers of paint pretty much and get down there. I got to strip it all down. This guy's all sanded down with like 220, ready for epoxy primer inside and out. It's mostly bare metal all the way around. So I'll get the passenger door to look like that. Throw the primer on it, then I can do the body work on top of the epoxy primer, because you get a chemical bond and a mechanical bond. If you sand the epoxy primer with like 80 grit, you get the physical bond of the sanding scratches and then the chemical bond of the primer, and the primer seals the bare metal so you don't get any rust possibly happening below between the bare metal and the body filler. You've got the epoxy primer there to keep it safe. So the whole center of the door is mint condition, no problems here, and very little filler needed in the front and rear edges just from hammering and doweling it to get the skin started. A tiny little bit up here because I had to hammer and dolly this and worked on it. So very little bit of filler required. The inside of the door, like here, I'm going to strip all this off and sand all this down. If there's any damage in here, just a bunch of scratches, a little bit of surface rusting, and get this off of here. Looks like we got a little crack working there, weld that up. The bottom of the door is pretty much not really metal finish, but very close. I'm just going to take a tiny little skim bit of filler on top of where the weld seam was, but that's where the rubber sits on the door seal there, so honestly, it doesn't even need filler. It could just be primed and painted, but I'll probably schmoo a little filler on it just to make it good here. We got our seams in the door, some welding the patches on. I'll use body filler here, smooth all these out just on the back side, because you'll see that when the door is open. Got to grind this little bit of weld here, but it's pretty much how it's going to be. Boom, don't slam it. But the rocker panel gap is nice on the bottom, nice and level all the way across there, and the body lines are really close. The fender has just got to come up just like, I don't know, less than a 1/16 of an inch. I just got to shim the holes just a little bit more and pick the fender up just a hair, but the line here, how the fender fits the line, is very nice. Overlap wise, they're at the same overlap all the way around. And I'll just tweak this in just a little bit down here, but it's going to line up good. It actually fits, as good as it's going to get for what we're doing. Once again, like I've been saying, the whole series on this truck, this is going to just be a nice driver. Going to get painted probably in an inflatable paint booth in the driveway by somebody who has only painted a couple cars. And we're going to do the best we can, but it is going to be driver quality, sitting outside, driving around, out in the weather, just a nice old beater truck that's going to have new paint on it and new body panels. But like I am taking my time to try to get dents out. Like this fender's new old stock, and it had a whole bunch of damage here and up there, and I tapped all the lows down, tried to push all the lows, or tapped all the highs down, tried to push the lows up from the back side. In here, I can't really get to it because there's a lip on the inside of the fender. I can't reach this, so there's going to be a little bit of a filler here, but a lot of this stuff is barely any little dimples now here. And up here, the same thing. I knocked it out as best I can. Just very, very shy little spots. So just a very, very skim coat of filler to fill all that in there. The rest of the fenders is mint. I do need to weld the trim holes up here, so we'll need a little bit of filler there. But overall, it's going to be very easy to straighten it out. And the passenger side fender is, or driver's side fender, I'm sorry, is aftermarket, brand new, no damage. So that'll just get scuffed and primed and painted like it is. And the core support's just going to get painted like it is. So we have very minimal bodywork required to get this guy going. But that's pretty much going to be the next step. I'm going to take, prime both doors, start putting the body filler on the doors. I bought some cheap fender stands off of Amazon here, a pair of them. They're, if you haven't seen these before, they're basically just a U and you fold them out with a chain, and then they got foam covered hoops on them. And you put your panels on there like a table. So I can work on the doors on those, get the doors ready for primer. The rest of the cab, I just got to scuff any black primer panel coating that hasn't been sanded yet, finish sanding the back of the cab, and then re-epoxy the cab, and then do the body work on the cab. Like up here, I actually brushed epoxy primer over this patch right here, but we'll do all that in body filler, do all the body work on a primer on here, and then re-epoxy the cab again, and then do the body work and epoxy the doors, get them epoxied up again, and then probably get some high build primer, block them out a few times, and we'll be ready for paint. Sorry, it's not really the most exciting thing to watch, sanding, and duplicated some work doing the second door, but it's the middle of winter. It's like 0 degrees out. I can't really do anything outside of any other of my cars or projects. I got the one bay to work in, and we're working on this, and this is it. So hopefully follow along, and we'll get past this and start doing some body work and getting this thing ready to turn blue here very soon. So I finished the video out here on the other side of the shop. I got my 69 GTX, soon to become a 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. I've been collecting parts from AMD. If you haven't been following along, I bought this car last summer. It's a 69 GTX, well, part of it. And I'm reskinning the entire car as a Charger, all new AMD sheet metal, and then getting a kit to turn it into a Daytona clone. So 440 car, B5 blue, black interior. Anyways, so I've been collecting the parts that's full of AMD sheet metal and floor pans. I almost got all the sheet metal. I just need to get the doors and quarters and stuff. But I've gone ahead and pretty much pulled the trigger on getting the Daytona kit for it. And I got a hold of Janak Reproductions. Ted Janak in 1978 started this company, and then his son Grant, who runs it now, because Ted passed away a couple years ago. They make fiberglass, very high quality, high-end fiberglass kits to turn Dodge Chargers into Dodge Charger Daytonas, and they also do Superbird kits to turn a 70 Satellite or a Roadrunner into a Superbird. So I reached out and the other day and sent an email and said, hey, I'm doing this project. Grant got a hold of me, and we talked for like an hour on the phone. It was super cool dude to talk to, and it was neat that he took time out of his day to talk to me about it. But anyways, I'm about ready to pull the trigger because there's almost a year lead time for them, because they hand build all these parts out of fiberglass. And you can go to Winged Warrior, I think Winged Warrior parts.com or something like that, I think is the address, or I'll put it in the description, and you can see their thing. But anyways, it's pretty much him and like one or two other guys hand lay all these parts out of fiberglass and composites. They make the wing. They put a aluminum extrusion in the wing so you don't get it sagged in the middle like some of the other fiberglass kits. Now, there was a couple of companies that made like straight up fiberglass like kit car parts for Daytonas, and they're pretty inexpensive, but they're also not very good quality. A couple of them are out of business now. Janak makes a very high-end kit. All the parts are polymer composites and fiberglass, and it's not cheap. I'll tell you that. It's not cheap. I need the full kit, including the window plug and all that. And they make a bicarbonate rear window, and he just came out with 70 Daytona fenders, fiberglass front fenders, which usually when you buy these cars, you got to find Charger steel front fenders, which are very hard to find, 1 year only. They're horrendously expensive. They're over $1,000 for junk, usually, a piece. You need a 70 hood Charger hood, and then it accepts the nose cone because the 69 Daytona has used early production 70 Charger parts. Anyways, Janak has just come out with fenders for the front, so I can get the front fenders. I was originally going to get 69 Charger fenders and modify them, but now I can just buy the actual fiberglass fenders, and it's only about $200 more to get the fiberglass fenders than it is to get a stock Charger fender from AMD, and then I have to modify it. So I'll be getting the Janak fenders. But anyways, I don't have the price list here, but it's pretty much a full kit, which is over 50 pieces to put a wing car together. All the nose components, the headlights and stuff, all out of composite fiberglass and composite materials for the wing. The wing washers, the brackets to hold the wing down, the window plug, a polycarbonate rear window with the correct bubble in it. You can get reproduction glass rear windows for Daytonas and Superbirds. They're $3,500 a piece for an actual glass one if they have them in stock. So the polycarbonate window is very durable, and it's plastic, but it's polycarbonate, and it's $850. So that's, I severely underestimated. You got to be pretty much a millionaire to put one of these cars together, and I'm not anywhere near a millionaire. I'm like a zeroaire. So luckily, I found a way to move things around where I've got the money set aside that I was going to use for something else. I was going to buy a car trailer and maybe a lift. That's all that money's got to go to buying the kit. The complete kit for a Daytona is $13,500. Now you might be saying, holy crap, that's a lot of money. And trust me, that's a ton of money. That's the high quality kit. They have like a cheap kit or a economy kit that's $6,000, but it is pretty much the quality of like one of the cheaper ones where unless you're building like a race car or something's going to get banged up or something, you're not building any time. I want to build like a nice driver, but I don't want it to be, like, oh, where'd you buy that kit at Kmart? Like, so I would stay away from the economy kit if you can afford it. If you can afford not to, that's more for like race cars and stuff where you really don't care. It's like Daytona-esque and it's close, but it would need a ton of fitment. It's missing a bunch of pieces from what I can gather on the internet. Very thin. The factory kit, which Janak calls their factory kit, is super thick panels, all the composite wing that they've had on a car at Bonneville up almost to 300 miles an hour, and it held together. Very, very high quality components. So I'm going to pull the trigger on that. Like I said, there's almost a year lead time. So by the time this car gets in the work side of the shop, gets all the sheet metal hung on it, gets the frame rails and the floors, and basically tag the car together in metal, it's going to be the end of the year of 25. The winter of 25 is when this car is going to be over there on a rack and like pretty much put together. That's probably about the time my order will be complete from Janak to get the Daytona parts, so it'll fit in perfect. I need to get in now, and there's no Grant's super cool. There's no like deposit or nothing. It's kind of like, hey, we're going to commit. You got to commit to doing this, but there's no money up front. You pay when it's done. So that helps me out right now. Anyways, so I'm going to pull the trigger in a day or two, probably get that in the queue so we can have the Daytona parts here. But it significantly, I didn't realize, because the prices aren't listed online, I didn't realize exactly how expensive these cars are. Now let's go back to the $13,500. That doesn't include the new 70 front fenders. They're another $2,000. That doesn't include a hood. That's they just came out with a new 70 hood. That's another $2,000. So now we're up to like $17,000 or $18,000. I'm going to look around for a steel 70 hood. I might be able to find one, and there are Grant and other companies make about an $800 hood. That might be, I got to talk to Grant and see if I can get away with that, because I really don't want to spend $2,000 on a hood if I don't have to. I also don't want to shortchange myself for a few $1,000s and then have it cost me in the long run. You buy a cheap kit or you buy the economy kit, and it's not how you want, and you've got to spend hours and hours and hours body working it and trying to make it right. You're going to lose that thousands of dollars that you lost. Like having the high quality rear window plug that goes in here, The rear plug and the plexiglass or the polycarbonate window are about what, I forget what it, $850 plus $1,500, like $2,300 to put the plug in it. But it's the correct shape and stuff. You could use a Vega hatch, but the window's not right. And Grant, I was trying to do that in the beginning, or I had a different idea, but Grant kind of talked me out of it. And he's like, you know, that really takes away from the value of these cars when they go to sell them. Is you can spot the Vega rear window, and some people want it, even if what is a clone, they want it close. So we talked about that. Not that this car is going to be a perfect clone because I'm starting with a Plymouth, but it's going to be probably about 90%, 90-ish percent accurate to a Daytona. It's going to have all the correct parts on it, and 440, I'm going to do it up, but it's going to be probably about a 90% car, which is way more than good enough for what I want. This is a forever car for me. This is a legacy car. I think it's worth spending the money on. Say you got 40. I did a video a little while ago. I can't remember what I said. Like figure like 25, 30 grand to have in the car. Well, with the price of the kit, now that I know what it is, it's going to be like 40, 45,000. But you can't even buy a 69 GTX decent quality restoration or driver for $45,000. Like you can't buy one. You can't buy a 69 RT Charger, 440 RT Charger for less than like $75,000. And then you got to put the kit on top of it. So, you know, all said and done, if this car's done right and done with the correct parts, it's probably going to be a $100,000 car being a clone, because you can't afford to buy original Daytona anymore. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars for a driver or a fixer-upper or one that's in rough shape, and they're close to $1 million for a nice one. So you can't, unless you're a millionaire, you can't touch these cars probably for the next 20, 30 years, I would guess, easily. So while I'm gulped at the price, it's worth it. And just for another aside, to go back to put it in perspective, there are companies that make steel noses, aluminum wings and stuff. A steel reproduction nose for a Daytona with all steel parts that like mimics a factory steel nose, which weren't the greatest quality, by the way. A reproduction steel nose is $15,000 just for the nose, not all the other stuff, not any of this stuff. Like I said, the real glass rear window, $3,500. Like I don't even know what the aluminum wing is, probably a couple $1,000s. So you could easily put a $50,000 kit together to clone on top of your, you know, you'd have say you bought a nice 69 Charger, and then you bought 70 front end, all original sheet metal for like $4,500 for your set of fenders and a hood, and then put your $40,000 or $50,000 parts kit together, you're going to have $150,000 in the car, just in the car and the parts, before you put it together. I'm spending a lot, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. Because I'm still, I couldn't even sleep last night. I'm like, how is this going to work out? Traumatized by all the money. Like, I build cars for less than the kit, but we committed to doing it. Here it is. I could just build a regular Charger out of it if I wanted to, but... So the sound cut out here on once again, the GoPro. Anyways, I'm talking about, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So, like I said, it's worth it to spend extra money on the parts. These cars are so expensive. What are you going to do? You know, this is going to be a legacy car that I'm going to have forever, and it's worth the extra few dollars, like the rear window plug. These cars, like I said, so part of the thing that's helped me out in the beginning, right, was I bought this 69 GTX for $5,500. Now, if I started with a real 69 Charger, they're like, for junk, they're like $20,000, right? So I started with a car for $5,500. The extra $15,000 I saved right here, you know, buys me the Janak kit to put this car together. Okay, so, you know, all the dollars and cents add up here, and it is what it is, but I'm going to be all right in the long run. Like I said, these cars are worth it. This car, you know, right here looking at it, if you wanted to buy an actual Daytona, like I said, they're hundreds and thousands of dollars for a decent one. I would think that a nice clone, like I just did in quotation marks, it's got to be worth $80,000 to $100,000 when it's all said and done. Because if you want one, By the time you buy all the parts to put one together and buy a good car to do one, you're going to be over the $100,000 before, you know, especially if you can't do the work and you got to pay a shop to do it, you're going to be over the $100,000 to do it all in and out like this one. So me doing it myself, if I've got $45,000 in the car, you know, with everything, it is what it is. It's going to be worth more than a GTX, and it's going to be equal to or worth more than a Charger. And you know, we could have just done, you know, to save money, I could have just built a regular Charger like I started saying. I could have built a Charger 500, just putting a regular back window plug in. But, you know, when you go to a show and the wing car shows up, everybody's going to look at a wing car. It's like the craziest thing anybody's ever seen. You know, you build a Charger 500 with just a slope rear window and like a regular grill. Everybody's going to be like, oh, you just got a nice Charger. It doesn't matter, even though, you know, the back window plug here, a Charger 500 is rarer than a Daytona. You don't get the factor of, like, here's the wing, here's the nose. Like, they're so cartoonish, they're so iconic, it is what it is. You know, it's worth spending the money on this car to do what I wanted to do. So, you know, that's what I'm going to do with this one, is make it happen, I guess. I got it. I might as well keep going. It's only money, right? It's only money. Look at my hands. It's only money. This hand right here is going to have the money. I'm going to get my wallet out, I guess, and get some money set aside to buy all the parts for this. And in the meantime, I'm going to go back in the other side of the shop, work on the C10, because I can't really do any more of this right now because I need the money to buy the parts. So you're looking at it here. Find me. Where's my wallet? Right here. And we'll see you guys next time. Bam, here, going broke, and also working on C10 stuff over there in the shop. Bam, at the Quick Speed Shop.